All right, y'all, here's what we're doing today. 2010 Subaru Forester. We're actually heading in for the timing belt and water pump. I'm going to show you all how to time it and replace the water pump on it. Now, first thing we're doing is we're pulling off these two. We're pulling that out. We're pulling that out. And we're pulling this cover off. Then we're going to pull a 10 millimeter bolt out of right there. And this just pops straight up. So pull it up, get it out of your way. We're going to go ahead and remove the water bottle. I really need to get that out of the way before I can show you the rest of it. So we'll just work at bits and pieces, I guess. All right, we'll get started. Show you the next part. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to remove 10 millimeters. Luckily, this is a 110 there, 10 millimeter there on each one of the overheating fans. We're also going to go down in there. There is a clip. Where in the world is it? It's hiding. It's right there. Well, it's just got a little piece right there. You push out on it and pop it. That's all you do. You also have one over on this side. We're just going to take it, heard it click, and it's a little bit of a pain, and just pop it out. That's all you do there. Now we're going to 12 millimeter right here. We're going to loosen it, and we're going to loosen this one. We ain't taking them out. Then we're going to loosen this down all the way. This is your tensioner. Take off this belt. This belt we're just going to have to pop off, so we're going to roll it. This has no tensioner, even though it has a spot for it. And we're just going to roll this belt off, and we'll put it back on the same way. Put a 22 millimeter right here, and then we'll just start pull a little bit this way. You can use a screwdriver too. Pull a little bit this way as you rotate and finally get it off there. Get it out. Then we'll get into the next part after we get off these overheating fans and the belts. Okay, now we're trying to knock loose the damper wheel pulley. We got a 22 millimeter on there. We got a 1/2 inch drive ratchet and a piece of pipe. Next thing is you want to find there is a where the torque converter bolts are. You can't really see it down in here, but put a screwdriver in there, it'll lock up, and then we can actually pull on this and break it loose. And sometimes it does slip on the screwdriver, so make sure it's in there real good before you do it. And then we'll see what's next. Okay, we got 22 millimeter off there. I want to show y'all something else. This neat little trick. If your damper wheel pulley's stuck on there, get you a crowbar, put one on that side. This one is not stuck, so, and then you put one on this side, and you just pop it. Just keep on popping it back and forth. Work both of them separately as you're working it out, and it will pop it off there. Make sure you have two on both sides. That's the easiest way to get off these damper wheel pulleys when they're froze up on these older cars. Now, newer ones, you ain't gonna have a problem. It just falls apart pretty much. All right, we'll get in here. We're going to go ahead and remove all the 10 millimeters for the timing cover on the front. There's 3 on this one, and there's more underneath. A couple going across the top. These are pretty rusted. And coming around on over on this side, and we'll get our timing cover off. I'm going to try to get this off here without disconnecting these two, so if not, I'll go down there and pop them loose. All right, let's get to the next part. All right, got a little ahead of myself here. Done replaced the water pump in here and pulled off the timing belt, so I'm gonna show y'all reverse putting it back together. There's just 6 bolts in here holding the water pump on, and right down here there is a clamp and a little line right there, and then you have your thermostat goes in right here, and then you have your bottom radiator hose just bolts on there on those 2 bolts. So, and make sure you, whenever you get a water pump, a thermostat, make sure it has this little weep hole right here. It evens out the pressure, keeps it from overheating. Definitely helps. Dealer sells them all like that, so go get it at the dealer, I guess. You can get them at Napa. I think one made in Germany or something. But make sure you get those, because that is a big culprit. People putting these other junk thermostats in and not working on them overheating. All right, we're gonna get on with the timing belt. Hopefully y'all can see that very good. And on the timing belt, I'll show you the timing marks as good as I can and start assembling it. Okay, here we go. We got timing mark here on the pulley. It's an indentation. There's an indentation there. Got timing mark on the belt. Then right down here, we have, I can't really see it very good, but there is a timing mark right there. There's one there, and then one on the belt. Make sure your arrows go clockwise. It don't really matter too much, but it does help you make it a lot easier for you to line it up. We got a notch there, belt, and it just lines up with, get that belt out of the way, with that line right there. And yes, it is not lined up on it right now, but it's close enough for me anyways, okay? And then, to make this easier to get all this on, where is it? Okay, here we go. The bottom pulley, leave it off and it goes right underneath right here. Leave it off till you get the belt on. Once you get on the belt, then you are good to go. Okay, it pretty well, let me turn that off. But once you get the belt, make sure you leave a little pin in right there. And then once you get the belt on, then you can put on that pulley, and then you can relieve the tensioner after you torqued left all these loose too. All the pulleys, leave them so there's a little tiny bit of slop in them so they can still move a little bit easier, because sometimes these belts can be a little bit of a pain to get on. And then torque them all down to 29 foot-pounds after you're done right there. And we will get on to the next step of reassembly. All right, we made it this far. That's pretty good. Okay, a few things not to forget. This thing has a keyway in it, okay? It's on your crank, and this actually goes into it, rotate it till it falls in, and push it on the rest of the way. 22 millimeter, 130 foot-pounds. And you do it the same way as we broke it loose, other than we got a torque wrench. Lock it down in that hole you can't see. You'll find it. Just use a flashlight, look down in there, lock it up where the torque converter bolts are. Actually, I don't lock them up on torque converter bolts, but there is a slot right there on each side of it. Lock it up in there, it will jam, and you can torque it down pretty good. Another thing, don't forget your thermostat. I forgot to show that part, and I forgot to put it in. Thermostat, where the thermostat housing is on the water pump. Your little weep hole, little rattle ball thing goes towards the top when you do it. All right, hopefully y'all lasted this long on the video. Hopefully y'all do good work and see what happens, I guess. Also, figure I better show you all this. That belt I was telling you all about, all you do is put your 22 millimeter down on there, put it on this pulley. You can see it's trying to come back off on the bottom. Then on the top one, push it back with your hand as far as you can. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep on rotating that ratchet. I just stopped it halfway, and it'll go on there. You have to keep on rotating it a ways, because it'll move over on this pulley here in a second. And then I'll just work it back, and it will finally keep on going on there. And you'll get it on all the way, so really don't need a tensioner. Might need a new belt after this mess, huh? All right. One last thing everybody needs to do on this is, after it's assembled, get you a breaker bar, 22 millimeter, rotate your engine over a couple times by hand, because if you time it wrong, it will hit the valve and it will bend if you start the car. If you do it with a breaker bar and just keep on rotating the motor that way, if it hits and stops, then you know you done the timing wrong, okay? I mean, it could be a couple teeth out and not hit the valve, so ain't no issue there. It's just, you don't want to bend your valves and have to go in here and do head gaskets on this thing and valves. So just rotate your engine. Simple trick, tip, whatever you want to call it. All right, we'll see y'all on the next one. Enjoy. Have a good day.